Does everybody have the PDF open? Yeah. We'll be moving ahead today with the Jagat Mithya journey. In yesterday's verses 8, 9, 10, 11, we completed the Brahman Satyam journey. What was Brahman Satyam? The inward going path. Nivritti. Yeah, we completed the Brahman Satyam journey. In simple words, it means that one who used to consider himself or herself as the body-mind recognized that he is just the witness of the body-mind. He was given a warning not to get attached to the witness either. So he understood and he respected and honored that advice. He established as the witness, knowing very well that even this witness will collapse. Therefore, it should not be worshipped. Yeah, because that is also ignorance. And following that advice, it allowed the witness to collapse. And when it allowed the witness to collapse, it came to a point where there is a recognition, there is no I, there is no you. The so-called I dissolves into the pure consciousness field, or the witness consciousness dissolves into the primordial awareness field. So if this I dissolves into this field, it means that I also dissolves into the field. That I also dissolves. That I also dissolves. Every drop of consciousness that considered itself as I, the individual I, all of it dissolves. So what is the end result? There is only the pool of consciousness, the one single pool of undifferentiated consciousness. I did not keep a picture for that because it's undifferentiated. It cannot be described. Yeah? It cannot be divided. It cannot be expressed in words. It can only be sensed on account of this I collapsing. Oh, if the sense of I collapses, who knows the collapse? That is the highest, the undifferentiated consciousness, pure consciousness, primordial awareness, Brahman. These words are used interchangeably. Brahman Satyam. That is the realization on that path. Oh, all is Brahman. That I, that I, that I, that I, this I. All the I's, the so-called egoistic somebodies, they are actually nobody. Shunyata, zeroness. This recognition is essential. Yeah, this is what we just completed until verse 11. Yeah, we completed the Brahman Satyam journey. Now begins the Jagat Mithya journey. Remember, you cannot stop at Brahman Satyam. Your issue is the Jagat. Your problem is the Jagat. It is beautiful. It is magical. It is so delicious. It enamors you. It captivates your attention. And there lie the attachments. Yeah, so seeing every attachment as nothing but Brahman, only that will complete the journey. Is that very clear? Yeah. That is why the second leg, the Jagat Mithya journey, is important. Now I'll explain Jagat and Mithya. Jagat, simply translated, is the world. Yeah. But now at our higher level Advaita Vedanta translation, it is not just the world, it is consciousness in motion. The first motion is the sense of I that comes out of the shunyata, out of nothingness, somethingness comes up. This first somethingness does not like to stand alone. It does not like just I. It wants to be this or that. Yeah? That's where the identifications are projected. I am this or I am that. In the dream, it may be a very silly identification. Even if it means I am afraid of the ghost, at least I am. Do you see? Unpleasantness is okay because that unpleasantness imparts identity to the I. Yeah, so the I that does not like to stand alone now latches onto that unpleasant thought of a ghost and says, I am fearful. I'm just giving an example of a nightmare. At least I exist. Do you see that? There is the craving to exist, the craving to be, the craving to experience. If it's not satisfied in one dream, you move to another dream where now you project that I am Superman, or Superwoman, I can fly, I have superpowers. Pleasant dream, happy dream. Do you see? Again, there is identification. So from the deep sleep came the I, which could not stand alone because it was seeking something, and that something was identification. It did not get identification in the nightmare. It did not get enough identification in the dream. So it extends the dream to the waking world. And it has multiple identifications in the waking world. I am the parent, I am the spouse, I am the child, I am the friend, I am the colleague. A zillion identifications. I am a rich man, I am a poor man is also an identification, remember. I am something, no? Yeah, that label is what the I is seeking. Recognize that. Everything is a search. The hands going out to grasp something. Yeah, it's called vasana. When the hands go outwards to grasp an identity, it has been termed in the scriptures as anatma vasana. Yeah. This I keeps running after anatma. Anatma means that which is not the true self. That which is not atma is anatma. It keeps running behind that, running behind that, running behind that. In your early 20s, you feel, yes, I'm going to conquer the world. Do you remember? Yes, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that, I'm going to get this relationship, I'm going to get that money, I'm going to get that job title, I'm going to become the CEO of the company. See how there is that running. Yeah. For a few lucky ones, by the 30s, there is a realization there is no satisfaction in this world. But the I does not want to still accept it. Yeah. You become a little mature enough to start a spiritual path, but not everybody is at the level of Buddha to get enlightened by 36. Yes. So then in your 40s, you're still running. You know it's not happiness, but because of the pressure of your own projections in your own family, your own society, you're still trying to run and attain. Do you see this? And this sour and sweet mixture of, I see there is not much happiness there, but I have to run behind it. This continues for some into 40s, 50s, 60s, even 70s and 80s. Yeah. So some take a long time. It depends on the layer of conditioning. This conditioning, how much have you got trapped in this Maya? Yeah. Those layers of conditioning are that which trap you. Now, for a sharp-sighted one, he sees it very quickly. Buddha saw it by the age of 36. He was enlightened. He had already seen it all. He was saturated. He recognized there is only sorrow here. Yeah. In the manifest, there is sorrow. Do you understand the word manifest? That which has manifested into either a subtle or into a gross object. Yeah? That is the meaning of manifestation. Subtle objects are at the dream level, gross objects are at the waking level. So all these are called manifest. Manifest is a specific word used in the next 3 verses. Sambhuti is manifest. Yeah, please write it down so that when I forget to translate it, at least you have it in front of you written. Sambhuti is that which is manifest. Asambhuti, just by adding an or an a before the sambhuti, asambhuti is the unmanifest. What is the unmanifest? Before all this came up, even before the I comes up, the nothingness, that is the unmanifested consciousness. Is that clear? Now, a recognition happened to you. I don't know whether you were in your 30s or you were in your 70s. A recognition happened that there is only dukkha in the manifest. Correct? And that made you turn towards something higher. Yeah? You turn within, you move towards something higher. Some of us are lucky and attained the higher level of Brahman Satyam. Some of us are still working on it. That's not the problem. There is a warning that is being issued to the one who is walking ahead. Once you recognize Brahman Satyam, that everything is Brahman, I am Brahman, you are Brahman, it is Brahman, she is Brahman, he is Brahman, that object is Brahman. This is only consciousness. There is nothing manifest here. Even the unmanifested part, that is also Brahman. Both are Brahman. When you recognize that Brahman Satyam, there is a chance of a pitfall. What is the chance of pitfall? That you start now worshipping that unmanifest. Yeah? So in the next verse he tells you, do not go that way. Do not worship one aspect of Brahman. We'll see why is he warning the one who has already attained Brahman Satyam. Verse 12. Andham tama pravishanti ye sambhutiyam upasate tato bhuya ivate tamo ya u sambhutayam rata. Into blinding darkness enter those who worship the unmanifest. Asambhutiyam upasate. Asambhuti is the unmanifest. Yeah? I'll repeat that again. Into blinding darkness enter those who worship the unmanifest or asambhuti. And into greater darkness enter those who worship the manifest, the sambhuti. So remember, he gave you a warning earlier not to start worshipping the witness consciousness. Now he is giving a warning to not start worshipping the pure consciousness either. Yeah? If you land up worshipping the unmanifest, it means you are disrespecting the manifest. If you start worshipping only the manifest, it means you are disrespecting the unmanifest. Yeah. This is the reason. Why? Because it is a totality. A totality. A totality is a completeness, a fullness. Yeah. A wholeness, entirety. Yes, you cannot divide this circle into half and say, I will only worship one half. Oh, then you're disrespecting the form of that circle, the totality. Its essence is the complete circle. You cannot divide it. Yeah? So this entire circle can be seen as the circumference, the external peripheral part, and the central part. The manifest is always in the center. The unmanifest is at the periphery. You cannot separate out the periphery and say, I will worship only the periphery. You cannot separate out only the center and say, I will worship only the center. You cannot break the circle. Do you get this? So all he's telling you is to worship any singular moving part or unmoving part is ignorance again. It is blinding darkness. Again, poetically, he's saying it is ignorance. It means you are stuck. You are attached. So not to get attached either to the idea of the unmanifest, not to get attached to the manifest. No attachment means you have then completed the journey. Now do you understand? Why Jagat Mithya is important? To see that it is also an illusion. All this description is an illusion. That essence of Brahman that I tasted during the collapse of the eye, that is beyond words. That cannot be described in words. So any description as manifest or unmanifest is simply words. An attachment to words is ignorance, blinding darkness, poetically put. Clear? So not to get attached to the manifest. This drop is the manifest and the pool of consciousness from which the drop emerges and into which it collapses. That is the unmanifest. Not to get attached to unmanifest, not to get attached to manifest. Very clear, these two are. Why? Because you cannot really separate out consciousness at rest and consciousness in motion. This is very important because when you start your journey from Brahman Satyam, you turn outwards. Now you don't see two. Now you don't see witness consciousness separate and primordial awareness separate. And you don't see the body-mind at all. All of it is a oneness. This oneness is called Advaitam. Advait means no two. There is no possibility of a two. This oneness must be seen. If this oneness is missed, then Jagat Mithya journey is incomplete. You've heard about fallen yogis. Even after recognizing Brahman Satyam, one can fall. That is why Buddha called it partial enlightenment. He says it is not full enlightenment until the point your conceit is completely gone, your craving is completely gone, craving to exist, jijivisha, and your aversion to whatever is manifest is completely gone. These three are the last three steps. Yes, most important. Most important. When these are completely erased, then only can you claim final enlightenment. How do you recognize a fallen yogi? Very simple. He tells you, oh, all your money is Maya. You give all that money to me. And he takes your money. And that's how you recognize the fallen yogi. He says, oh, all name fame is Maya. Don't run after name fame. But he is the one celebrating his birthday with presidents and prime ministers of the world and the kings and queens and aristocrats. He's the one telling you, no, all this is Maya. But he's dancing on stage, making you believe that some god has entered his body. I'm giving you a few examples here and there. All those who try to produce miracles, from ash some gold chain comes out and he gives the gold chain to the spiritual seeker. All these things. Yeah? That's how you know fallen yogi. Yeah? Fallen yogi. Why fallen? Because he's still stuck in the Jagat. He's preaching that this Jagat is Maya, but he wants it. One who himself has craving, how can he get you out of craving? Do you see that? Yeah, he cannot. One who still is stuck with the I-ness, how can he help you get rid of your I-ness? So these are little pointers given in the Upanishads. Every sage has given such pointers. Yeah, and when those spiritual shopkeepers translate that Upanishad for you, they conveniently remove these pointers. Yeah, but you should be very wary of this. If it's important to you, learn the Sanskrit language. So it's important to understand in this verse, he says, don't worship the manifest, don't worship the unmanifest. Don't worship, period. Yeah? Not to run behind anything, not to think somebody or something is going to bless me, not to even believe in any illusion out there. All conditioning must be dropped away. Yeah. This is the crucial direct seeing for the Ajatavadan. If you're still walking on the Dvaitam path and if you're still interested in all the miracles and stuff like that, then yeah, we'll meet after 20 years. Take your time. Yeah, but if you've matured and realized that is all nonsense, hocus pocus. Yeah. If you've grown beyond it, then you will understand that this particular warning has been given to the Ajatavadan. Ajatavad, I'll explain again. Ajata, that which is unborn. Unborn. Yeah? When you come to Brahman Satyam, you turn outwards now to begin your Jagat Mithya journey and you see, oh, the world is unborn. It is like my dream tiger. This is the first realization that happens. The moment you turn outwards from Brahman Satyam, just beginning your first step of Jagat Mithya, you recognize the entire Jagat, whether it is your own parent, your own child, your spouse, your house, your money, name, fame, title, everything. All of it is like the dream tiger. When this tiger came into the dream, it seemed all real. When you woke up from the dream, did you say, oh, the tiger was born and existed for a little while? Could you say that? No, you don't say that. But can you deny that it appeared? Can you deny that it caused fear? Can you deny that there were palpitations? Can you deny that you were really running away from the tiger? No, you cannot deny even that. Do you see this? Now you come to the real seeing. It is real and it is unreal. It is both together. Just like my dream tiger. Yeah? This waking is not different from the dream. It is an extension of the dream. Why? A perception of sight arises of Ekta's face and it gets wiped away. Then perception of sound of her words arises, it gets wiped away. A thought arises, it gets wiped away. Just like the dream tiger got wiped away. Moment to moment, everything is getting wiped away. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought, feeling, sensations. All 8 perceptions appear, disappear, just like the dream tiger. Just like the dream tiger. Oh, it is, yet it is not. I am, yet I am not. This is the highest level of understanding. Now, this, which is an illusion, this dream tiger cannot harm me. It becomes like, Apple has released those little virtual reality, I've forgotten the name. Those glasses, you wear those glasses. You can go to the Apple store and they do a demo of it. So it's like a virtual reality glasses. You wear them and suddenly everything that you see is real. You almost feel like you can go out and touch. Everything feels real. But when you remove those virtual reality glasses, then you feel, is this real? Again, you put those back on, you feel that is real. And then you remove those and then you look at the room and you wonder, is this real? Yeah. That little conundrum that AI and virtual reality is creating for you is so close to what you see in your dream with respect to the dream tiger and what the sage sees once he reaches Brahman Satyam and turns outwards to begin his Jagat Mithya journey. On this Jagat Mithya journey, he recognizes everything appears and disappears. Everything appears and disappears. Memory wants to create a story, but now he refrains from creating the story. Because it's your story that is giving you grief. Do you realize that? It is not the perception of sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, thought, feeling, sensation. It is not the perceptions, it is not the arisings that are giving you misery. It is your story created by connecting all these arisings. You connect all these arisings and you create an entire story. I am this body-mind person called Ekta and this is Ekta's world. Ekta did this action and this is what is the experience of Ekta. You created this whole story like this. Reality is one arising in any given moment and it's wiped away immediately. Yeah. Now the sage becomes clear that everything is getting wiped away. Wiped away. I am just saying this again poetically. Ekta writes a little poetically. So like on the dashboard of your car you have a wiper. Just like that, every perception, sensation, thought, feeling gets wiped away. And it's moment to moment, Initially you recognize it only as, okay, the waking state started at 6 a.m., ended at 11 p.m. So at 11 p.m. everything got wiped away. That is the beginner level seeing. Soon you start seeing, I can't remember the thought that I had a minute ago. Oh, it got wiped away. You were feeling not so pleasant in the morning while discussing something with your family member. And now in the evening, that's not there. You recognize, oh, it's completely wiped away. Oh, there was pain in the elbow in the morning. I knocked the elbow at the door. By evening, it's gone. It's wiped away. Soon you start realizing it's not even from morning to evening, moment to moment it is happening. A thought comes, it gets wiped away. A feeling arises, it gets wiped away. There is some inner invisible wiper that is wiping away everything. It's only the memory that holds on to something. And only those few things, few arisings that the memory held on to, it created a story with that. Now, there is a recognition for the sage who has started the Jagat Mithya path that, oh, this story is like saying the dream tiger was born. It's like saying the dream tiger existed. But that is so silly. The dream tiger was never born. Yeah? So the story was never born. Ajata. We come finally to the understanding of Gaudapada, who was the founder of Ajatavad, and he said, oh, the world is unborn. What world? There is no world. There is only Brahman. Very clear? Once this becomes clear, you have already taken one step on the path of Jagat Mithya. Now you understand very clearly, oh, it's blinding darkness to consider any of this sambhuti or manifest as worshipable. Waking is not worshipable. Dream is not worshipable. Sleep is not worshipable. By worship, it means you should not even consider it as real. It is only an illusion. An illusion needs to be recognized as illusion. Yeah? You don't dismiss it. Dismissing it completely is disrespect. Yeah? You don't dismiss it, you recognize it as an illusion. You know it is consciousness in motion. And every time consciousness in motion brings up anything pleasant or unpleasant my way, I do not get fooled by it. I see it and I know it. Oh, this is consciousness only. You are me only. You cannot harm me. At the same time, you cannot give me any great bliss or ananda or happiness. Can the right hand harm the left hand? Can the right hand give love to the left hand? Can the right hand hate the left hand? Do you see there's nothing there? Yeah, why? Because there is a oneness. There is no question of love, there is no question of hatred, there is no question of worshipping, there is no question at all, because there is a oneness there. They appear to be two, but they are one. Do you get this? Like that. Just like that. Seeing the manifest, which is consciousness in motion, and the unmanifest, the background on which it appears. Seeing both together means seeing the totality. Yeah. And then there is no running behind one, chasing one, wanting one, not wanting the other. On the Jagat Mithya path, there is another word of caution that people or sages who reach that point of, oh, everything is Brahman Satyam, now they don't want to associate with the manifest. That is wrong. That means you have not completed your journey. If you want to run away from your family, yeah, that means aversion is there. If you want to reject money, in the story of a saint who said, oh, I don't touch the money, only my secretary touches the money. Eventually your secretary is putting the money in your bank, no? So you are still stuck there. Yeah. So this entire whole pretense, outward pretense, oh, I don't touch money, I don't indulge in sex, I am away from family, I am a monk or I am a nun, I have run away from the world. Again, you are stuck. You are stuck. Not to hurt any religious sentiments, but any kind of extreme means you are stuck. Yeah. So that is what is conveyed through this verse. Very important. Very important. Yeah. So consciousness in motion is Brahman. Consciousness at rest is Brahman. Once you see both as Brahman, there is no room for hatred, aversion, extremism, running away. There is no ignorance left. There is no blinding darkness of ignorance left. What is, is. What is. Do you see this? So those who have this little fear that, if I start walking the Advaita Vedanta path, Ekta is going to ask me to renounce my house, my money, my friends, my colleagues, my wife, my husband. No. You've got the wrong idea. What is. Whatever the story of that particular body-mind is, it is. Being okay with what is. Yeah, that is the highest level of seeing. Seeing reality as it is without wanting to change reality. That is the path. Yeah, that is what is conveyed through verse number 12. Yeah, so the easiest way to get there is through your Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. No blind belief will work. Not to believe Ekta blindly, not to believe the Upanishad sage blindly. No, not at all. Attempt to see it. How do I see it? Very simple. First, I have to come to the Brahman Satyam stage. What was the last stage we discussed? Where the I collapses into the pool. Yeah, the I sense, after associating with the waking, is disappointed with the waking, moves to the dream, is disappointed with the dream, shuns the last dream. It's standing alone for a moment, standing alone, and then it drops. It collapses. Basically, the drop merges with the ocean. You've heard this in a lot of Sanskrit poetry. That is the meaning of the drop merging with the ocean. The witness consciousness merges with the pure consciousness. The I sense merges with the not I. Not I. Oh, if this is not I, that is not I, that is not I, that is not I. A shift happens in the way you see the world when you come back to the waking after you recognize the collapse of the I. Yes. And then, of course, the second part also is seen very easily. From the pool of nothingness, the arising of the I also comes up. Oh, I see both. I see the arising of the I and I see the collapse of the I, which means I have completed the loop in my Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana. Yeah, so if you've not begun your Swapna Nidra Jnana Sadhana, which is nothing but the effacement of the conditioning of waking, dreaming and deep sleep. Yeah, literal translation into English. Effacement of the conditioning from waking, dreaming and deep sleep. Yeah, that effacement simply means like the wiper comes and wipes away everything. Erasing. Yeah. So that effacement is very important. So begin your sadhana today. Okay. Now let's be with this verse during the break. Become very clear that the outgoing path is important, and the first step on the outgoing path is a little warning. Neither to worship the consciousness at rest, nor to worship consciousness in motion. Be with that for the next 5 minutes of the bio break, and we'll meet again for verse number 13.